Welcome back, everybody. It's the end of June, which means Sonic Origins has just released. And I still haven't bought it yet. With the Sonic 3 soundtrack altered, it kinda took the wind out of my sails a little bit to, dive back into these classic games I grew up with. Make no mistake, I definitely will be buying Origins. I'm just feeling a little, sad about the omission of some of the series' best tracks. Because let's be honest, a huge part of what makes Sonic games so special is the music. No matter which entry into the Sonic franchise you enjoy the most, chances are the music plays a big part of that choice. Whether it's the great soundtracks from the early Genesis titles, the pop and rock vibes of the 3D era games, or hell, even the music from the TV series and the movies. While Sega may have some missteps when it comes to gameplay or general polish, I think there's no denying that the music in Sonic media goes hard. But Christ, the new Carnival Night music is just, oh my god, why does it sound like the old MIDI files from the Sonic & Knuckles PC collection? Oh god. So today I thought it'd be fun to do a video about the music I feel gets a little overshadowed by some of the more popular tracks in the series. As a coping mechanism. Sure, everybody loves Live and Learn, Endless Possibilities, On Gravity, but I wanted to go over some tracks I feel don't get sung as much praise as their more popular siblings. I don't think calling these songs underrated would be a fair description, at least not for all of them, that's for sure, but I definitely don't see them talked about as often. So without further ado, these are the 10 Sonic tracks that just hit different, I guess. Tidal Tempest Zone, Sonic CD. Have you guys ever heard of poolcore aesthetics? Or seen those amazing, labyrinthian, impossible pool style images around the internet? Sometimes people group them together with backrooms content, and some people find them unsettling or scary, but to me, every time I see any of those images, this is the song that always invades my mind and fills me with sensations of comfort and relaxation. Tidal Tempest theme feels calming and curious with its growing sense of wonder, like you've just entered this sprawling ancient stone labyrinth. You have to take a moment as you stare across the structures and currents that maybe no person has seen or experienced in decades. Sonic CD has some amazing music split across two unique OSTs, thanks to a weird disagreement in the 90s about if American audiences would appreciate the original soundtrack. And this is probably my favorite in the entire game for some weird reason. Way back when my parents first picked up the Mega CD, back in the later half of the 90s, I remember obsessing over Sonic CD. But I remember having this really surreal dream that I can still remember vividly to this day. I was in some kind of ancient marble tower which was slowly filling with water. I had to jump from side to side to slowly ascend upwards and avoid the rising currents. It felt like some kind of half-finished Sonic level or fan game. I really don't know why for the life of me that this memory has stuck with me for so long, but I'm sure this song is part of the reason. Of all the series' water levels, I feel like Tidal Tempest is probably the least threatening and anxious. Hell, it even has a fully underwater boss battle, and you still don't feel like you're at the risk of drowning. It's just a fun, moody level to traverse through, which has a pretty awesome good future if you're the kind of person who likes to hunt down all the robot generators in the zone. Bridge Zone, Sonic the Hedgehog Master System. I feel like the Master System Sonic games are forever living in the shadows of their Mega Drive counterparts. Which, when you just look at screenshot comparisons, you can sort of understand some people's initial dismissal. But they honestly have some really great tracks. Jungle Zone, Scrap Brain Zone, and my favorite, Bridge Zone. Yeah, okay, not the most imaginative name used in a Sonic game, but it's Sonic 1. For the Master System. The song just has this positive, upbeat cadence to it, pushing you on across this expansive and ending bridge. All the while, the screen behind you is just going, "See ya." I think Bridge Zone Act 2 may be the only auto-scrolling level in a Sonic game. I mean, unless you count, like, the Wii games, I guess. And I distinctly remember feeling the pressure as a kid first time playing this. Trying to get the Chaos Emerald in the stage by intentionally letting yourself fall down one of the collapsing bridge segments, then jumping back up. You know, growing up I didn't own a Master System, but my childhood best friend did, and it was at his house I first got to experience this zone. Every time I hear this track, I always think back to those days. It's so weird how songs can hold memories better than any video or photo can. Chrome Gadget, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 multiplayer stage. While I don't think Sonic 3's multiplayer competition mode was particularly deep, the music for each of its stages were absolutely amazing. Zero Lake, Balloon Park, Chrome Gadget, Desert Palace, Endless Mines were all seriously so cool. I wish they'd actually been expanded to be full levels. Also, if you didn't actually notice, did you know they're all in alphabetical order from A, B, C, D, and E? Fun little tidbit there. But my favorite of the zones was definitely Chrome Gadget, with Endless Mines probably being close behind it. Chrome Gadget has this more somber, serious feel to it, but like, you know, Sonic levels of somber. It always makes me think of looking out over an expansive city, like that particular shot in Sonic OVA when they reach Robotropolis. I remember me and my childhood friend playing way too much of the competition mode, and this was always one of the levels I got down to a fine art. Clearing the jump and not brushing the spring just before the level loop ends, avoiding the descending platforms so it doesn't kill you if you decide to use the springs on the side for a speed boost. Man, come to think of it, Sonic Mania should totally have included this level in some way. Well, at least fans have. And Endless Mines as well. They should have included Endless Mines. You know, Endless Mines music is also really good. Maybe I should have just talked about Endless... Toxic Caves, Sonic Spinball. Okay, truth time, I really don't care much for pinball games. I mean, the machines themselves are kind of impressive in their design, but... I don't know, man.
I'm an Uno guy, alright? So go grab the fucking Uno deck and we'll play, okay?
But Sonic Spinball gets a pass for me because of a few reasons. One, it includes the SatAM characters as little cameos in the bonus stages, making it the only released Sonic game to feature the Freedom Fighters. Two, the ability to do some minor platforming as Sonic and guide him while he's actually in his ball form really helps control the game a lot better than most pinball games. And number three is this level, Toxic Caves. Seriously, Sonic Spinball's opening goes really hard. Sonic gets shot off Tails' plane, which, I mean, that is definitely not the tornado. Look at that fucker. And falls into the watery depths below Robotnik's giant Legion of Doom fortress knockoff.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom. Not now! Okay.
Then we cut to the first stage. This percussive beat plucks up as Sonic jumps out of the water and into the foreground, shaking himself dry and leading us into the first stage of the game. The guitar bassline will always remind me of the Genesis sound chip and other games at the time. It feels a lot sharper than a lot of other Sonic games and stages. I actually think a lot of this game's OST is great. Lava Powerhouse is also stellar, and the options music is a
certified hood classic.
I think the reason this game feels more unappreciated is because back in the 90s, everyone was waiting with bated breath for Sonic 3 to release to the world. But, you know, because of some complications at Sega,
This is fine. I'm okay with the events that are unfolding currently.
we ended up getting 2 filler game titles before we got to see the third line game. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine and Sonic Spinball. But honestly, both of these games are still a lot of fun. Like, you know, they're just not Sonic 3.
Ready, set, go!
Back in Time, Sonic R. Now, I know Sonic R has its detractors, and that's fine. There's plenty of room in the internet for people to have wrong opinions. But this game was something I always loved fondly growing up, and its whole soundtrack. I remember getting this in the most unlikely of places. My primary school had this weird book fair thing where students would get catalogs of items, usually books, shocker, I know, and we could order stuff which would get delivered to us at school a couple of weeks later. I remember getting a couple of things from these when I was younger, a Crazy Bones Collector's Guidebook, the Bart Simpson's Guide to Life, but the best pickup of all was Sonic R for the PC. I ran this bad boy on my ancient bulky Windows 95 PC, along with my copy of the Sonic and Garfield pack, which definitely certified me as the most epic gamer in the region. You know, when the PlayStation 1 was coming out. While all the music in Sonic R was both very cheesy and very catchy, I wanted to specifically talk about the Regal Ruins music, Back in Time. It kinda has this golden, warm, nostalgic glow to it, fitting perfectly with the desert themes of Regal Ruins. Even playing it for the first time, I remember getting the same feeling from it while I frantically tried to figure out the course layout and crashing into walls. And even now, almost 2 decades later, it hits different, you know? You guys ever see that wild Michael Jackson music video for Remember the Time? You know, the one with Eddie Murphy as the Pharaoh, and then Michael Jackson just kind of dances up to his wife and is all, "Baby, come on." I don't know why, but this song and Back in Time feel like they would make for a pretty sweet mashup. Honestly, just sprinkle a couple of these bad boys in here. Nice. Wrapped in Black, Sonic Rush. While Sonic Rush's music feels bouncy, groovy, and full of positivity most of the time, its final Super Zone stage theme was like something out of a Final Fantasy encounter. This epic orchestral build-up, its lyrics pumping with importance. It has this defiant determination emanating from it that really makes you feel the weight of this final battle. With Sonic and Blaze's interactions having this desperate tinge to them whenever you switch out.
Blaze! It's closing in on you!
I know!
I think this honestly may be one of, if not my favorite final battle songs in the entire series. It isn't like Live and Learn or Open Your Heart, which emanate this high positivity, you got this feel to them, which actually makes the final bosses of those games feel weaker because of it.
I am not weak! What the hell?
Instead, this song is heavy, it's stressful, you really feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, and it is stacked against you. The brief lyrics used in the song are drawn directly from Malcolm X, which kind of adds an entire different gravity to the song itself. Especially when it's contrasted with the rest of Rush's soundtrack that sounds a lot more akin to Jet Set Radio's positive vibes. While it may not be everyone's favorite song of the soundtrack, I feel like no one can deny it is a damn great track to close out on. Door into Summer, Knuckles Chaotix. You know what sucked? The 32X. Like, there are some pretty cool games for the add-on. I even actually got given one when I was younger. Along with a copy of Knuckles Chaotix, which I was so excited to play. Only to discover that the 32X I'd been so kindly given was actually missing a crucial cord needed to plug into the Mega Drive unit itself. It doesn't help that the time I received the 32X, it had already been retired from store shelves. So, trying to find this weirdly obscure cord for an add-on for an already old console ended up being a barrier that prevented me from experiencing Chaotix for a very long time, despite owning the game and the add-on. But eventually, I got to play the game, through emulation admittedly, despite having it sitting on my shelf still to this day. And despite its gameplay quirks, goddamn do I love the music. Like, Door into Summer has this stellar remix by the absolute Giga Chad T-Lopes, which he did back in 2012, which really encapsulates the title perfectly. From its slow build-up to that 7-second mark, then its sudden explosion, the song exudes this amazing, positive energy, which the remix both captures and perfects. I'd wanted to initially keep this list to official songs straight from the material, but I mean, given T-Lopes has done official music for Sega now, I feel like including this track isn't cheating. But for the purists out there, I put both of them here. If anyone tells you to go out and touch grass on the internet, I hope this is the music that you go to. Rumbling Highway, Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure and its sequels have some amazing music in them that, to me at least, makes them both timeless masterpieces. But a track I feel like doesn't get much mentions is from the stage Mission Street, a Tails action stage about midway through the game. I love the general feel of this track. Its guitar segments remind me a lot of Tails' theme in Believe in Myself, which has this unsure yet determined energy behind it, which I think is definitely the motif behind all of Tails' tracks and action stages. These were the games that were building him up to stand on his own 2 feet. You know, until...
Whoa! Chaos!
This is the most obnoxious thing I've ever experienced in my life.
I really loved the tracks in this game and the awesome guitar riffs in them. Like, seriously, I think even if you're only mildly acquainted with Sonic Adventure 2, the minute you hear one of these stages, you'd instantly be able to go, oh yeah, that's a Sonic Adventure 2 song. They're very much a part of the game's identity, place and time. Spaceport, Sonic Forces. The best part of Sonic Forces, hands down. This song had the energy I feel like the game itself was so deeply lacking in its storytelling. And I swear, something about this just deeply reminds me of Undertale's hopes and dreams. Which is maybe where that grit your teeth through the tears and change the future sort of vibe came from. The lyrics tell us about the protagonist's desperate defiance to overcome what feels like an insurmountable victory Eggman has over the world. Sonic's been captured, and without him, Infinite and Eggman's forces have taken over the majority of the planet. Does the game do a good job of telling this story? No, but you all knew that already. But where the story lacks impact, the music makes up for in a huge way. I honestly wish Sega would have actually gone a little bit harder for Forces, made the game something straight out of the 90s gritty TV series. Hell, they were able to make this story work amazingly back in SatAM days. Sadly, it feels like they got cold feet on going for a more serious story and just decided to play it safe. But a silver lining to this, at least, is that the game's soundtrack is still good.
No
Hydro City Zone, Act 2, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Okay. I know Hydro City's music is far from an underrated gem. Hell, it was one of the stages chosen for Sonic Mania. Everybody loves this song. It has this amazing pace from the start of the stage. You cross through the star posts, and suddenly the walls from behind you start to close in. You struggle your way through the cramped environments, snagging a one-up if you're feeling bold enough, and then you reach the end of the segment, spin dashing through some breakable walls, and the music reaches its chorus. It hooks you with this almost quizzically beautiful theme. It makes you feel relief, wonder, and upbeat all at once. Suddenly you've made it past the water, at least for the moment, and you can stop to take in this beautiful submerged city. A hydro city, if you would. Seriously, like, I get the hydro velocity crowd think it's a really cool portmanteau, but come on guys, this is Sonic Team. They almost named a zone Genocide City Zone in Sonic 2. There is no way they would have understood the nuance of hydrosity. I personally just think it was a case of the name being a little bit too long to squeeze into the title screen. So they just kind of nixed the space and just went, yeah, fuck it, it looks good, print it. Now, did I make this entire video as a devious attempt to just share my opinion on the pronunciation of a zone name? Why, yes. Yes, I did. Like and subscribe, everybody.
Location with friggin' water. Hydrosity is not a word, not a word, not a word. Hydrosity is not a word, my fair lady. Hydrosity is not a word, not a word, not a word. Hydrosity is not a word, my fair lady.